all yours. Whenever you're ready. I'm good.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are we doing? Good. All right. Well, I hope you're excited for this next session. Just take a moment here. I want to introduce the session speaker here. We've got a great guest for you, Mr. J.J. Arnold. He's an initiate of the Theta Omicron chapter at Indiana State University. After transferring from Indiana State to the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, he was the founding father of the Kappa Omega chapter there. He was the Pi Kappa Alpha chapter advisor of the year in 2003. Has served for 8 years as vice president on the Lake University Board of Directors. And professionally, he is director of business development for Elbit Systems, where he sells F-16s and Black Hawk helicopters. So join me in welcoming Mr. J.J. Arnold.
All right, thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So, I worked for 13 years with Sikorsky, so that's the Black Hawk piece, and then the F-16s. I did a lot with Lockheed Martin, and we sell all the high-end laser optic stuff. So the stuff that shoots missiles when you blink your eyeball, stuff like that. So pretty neat. So anyway, but thank you for allowing me to be here. This session is all about you, of course. So what you take out of it is what you put in. So everybody, who was in the emerging leaders track? A couple of you guys. Okay, you guys know my style, right? When you want to comment, please stand up, introduce yourself and where you're from, so you have presence. And so we know you're present here today, but now you have presence by being a part of it. And then also, conflict resolution is something, if you can master the art of, which I will tell you, I am not the resident expert, and really, and Jeff's laughing back here, I mean, us being in the business world, every day is a new challenge and a new conflict, and how you attend to it is what will make or break you. But if you practice, you come into it with an open mind and use some of the skills or some of the tools we'll show here, you're better off and you'll be successful ahead of the person next to you. So it's very interactive. Ask questions. I'll relate it back to your chapter. I'll relate it back into the business world a little bit, and we'll go from there. So is everybody on board? All right. Can everybody hear me okay? Because I'm not mic'd up. So if you can't, just say, please speak up a little bit more. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to start off with a video clip and just kind of frame conflict resolution as a whole.
When we asked Reebok to send us turning tank, some people thought we were crazy. But I'm a firm believer in paradigm breaking, outside the box thinking. Amen? Work was over 15 minutes ago, man! And since Terry's been with us, our productivity has gone up 46%. We get more from our employees than ever. You don't need a cover sheet or the GPS reports, Richard! That ain't the way! But what's really interesting is how Terry's become part of the Belcher family. He fits right in here. That's a little bit small, To be honest, I wish Reebok sent us 10 turning tanks.
So what do you think about that? Why would I choose Terry Tate to highlight and kick off our conflict resolution session? Initial thoughts? Anybody? Initial thoughts?
Probably not the best way to resolve.
Stand up, have presence, introduce yourself.
Eric Gray from the colony of Columbus State University.
Okay?
Just saying it's probably not the best way to resolve conflicts.
Okay.
You need to do it in a more professional,
All right.
violent manner.
Okay. What else? Any other comments? Yes, sir, in the back.
Probably just because maybe hit head on, have a conflict, and you really deal with it right away, and go about it and try to work your way around it.
Excellent. Great thought, and you're exactly correct. If we hit conflict resolution head on and utilizing the right tools, you will be successful. Now, I will tell you, if that happened in my office, I probably wouldn't have a job, let alone I'd probably be in prison somewhere because someone got hurt. Now, in the fraternal world, each of you have been in those situations, correct? Someone's had a little too much of the sauce, and you had to go sit at 2 a.m. with them and say, hey, dude, that wasn't cool, right? So we've all been there, and it can escalate to something more if we don't attack it head on. So, what words come to mind when you say the word conflict? Anybody? Yes, sir. Stress. Okay. What else? Who said fighting? Fighting in the back. All right, very good. You guys are quiet over here. What? Awkwardness. Very good. Thank you. Disagreement. Good. Any other? Class of ideology. Very nice. Very nice. What's that? Attention. Okay. I'm sorry? Okay, tension. I'm sorry. Tension. Any other ones? What's that? Time consuming. Yeah, I mean, drama. It consumes our day. Who wants to deal with that all day? Especially when you have to go home and your significant other and you have more drama and more conflict that you could have. Exactly. What else?
Importance.
What's it?
Importance.
Importance. Okay, there's a good one. There's a positive spin. Let's take a look. Fear, loss, terror, humiliation, hurt, pain, anger, loss of productivity. Run. A lot of people like to run from it. And I do a lot of work in multi-generational workforces, and I'm working on my PhD right now, and it's a multi-generational workforce and how we work together in collaborative team efforts. And one of the things about millennials and your generation is that since the advent of technology, you'd rather solve a conflict via your cell phone versus on text messaging or versus Facebook versus face-to-face. And that causes a lot of challenge because you really never come to the root cause or the root issue and the true understanding of solving it because you don't see the nonverbals. And we'll get into that a little bit more. So, positive results when you deal with conflict. I'm from Green Bay, guys, so you're going to see some of this Green Bay football come through here. So, sorry about that. Better relationships, increased confidence, greater self-respect, increased intimacy. Not only in your friendship, but in your relationship as well. Peace, less fear, career enhancement. Career enhancement, if you don't deal with conflict well, you're deemed as the drama guy or someone that is always on edge and doesn't work well with people. So as a result, time to lay off people. Your productivity might be great, but you just don't work well with people. Guess what? You're on that list. Greater sense of personal strength. If we handle conflict, 9 times out of 10, we build our self-worth to the point where, you know what? I can do this. I can do this really good. So when dealing with conflict, you have choices. What are some of our choices in dealing with conflict? Yes, sir.
Probably a person we got speaking to them,
Okay.
maybe addressing what the problem is.
Okay, speaking with them, all right, sitting them down. What else? When we deal with conflict, we have choices. What would those be? What's that? And who said that? Ignoring it, okay. What else?
Lead, follow, get out of the way.
I'm sorry?
Lead, follow, or get out of the way.
Lead, follow, get out of the way. Yes, sir. Okay, so we're reframing into a positive environment. And you guys know I'm a systems thinker. A goes to B, B goes to C. So yeah, so starting off positive, okay. What else? So clearly we can bully the other person, and we all know those guys that have done it. As the Three Stooges and the Pillsbury Doughboy here come to harm. But we can avoid it. 9 times out of 10, we'll avoid conflict until we have to engage. We can give in. We can be passive-aggressive. That's one of the things that I don't really deal well with people are passive-aggressive people. Because it just annoys me. Because you never know where your playing field is. You never know where you sit. Compromise, solve the problem together, sit down and discuss. And then honor the other person. Not a bad deal. So, what are the top 10 reasons to avoid conflict? What do you think?
You don't want to burn any bridges.
Okay, you don't want to burn bridges. Okay. People are scared. Very good. Uncomfortable, why? How so?
Causes an issue in the relationship, or strain on the relationship.
Okay, strain on the relationship. Don't want to make the wrong decision. Okay, now you're going to be accountable to something. Oh no, accountability. Oh, fair enough. They don't know how to argue, so they'll just kind of sit there. That's right. What else we got?
Lack of self-confidence.
Lack of self-confidence. So you just want to avoid it, and hopefully it's an irritant. It'll just go away in time, and the next person you're with, it'll be okay, right? You'll just keep moving on. How often does that work? Never. Okay, all right. So, fear of harm, I think we've covered all of these. Fear of rejection, loss of a relationship. Either in your friendship, your relationship with your parents, your mentor, your significant other, whatever that might be. That's really difficult when you lose a relationship, even if it's bad. We deal with it in different ways. Fear of anger. So a lot of us don't like to show anger. So once we do show it, guess how it casts us and what the dispersions are against it. Being selfish, saying the wrong thing. Fear of failing. In today's environment, you guys, I'm generalizing here, but you were taught and given a medal or a cookie or a trophy with everything you did. So you don't get that, though, in a conflict resolution when you're having a discussion. You can try that you both get a cookie at the end of the day. Hurting someone else. Getting what you want. And the last one, fear of intimacy. We just talked about intimacy a little bit. Oh my God, I got what I want. I just won that argument. Now what do I do with it? Uncharted territories. So, one of the major areas of conflict resolution is the DISC system, where two components are you focus on the tasks, you focus on the relationships. And either you have a fast approach or a methodical approach to it. So, in this instance, focus on tasks with a fast approach, you're very dominant in nature. Focus on relationships in a fast approach, you focus on influencing in any situation. And some of you guys that were in the emerging leadership track, you can kind of sense a theme here. Everything is connected, even the strategic planning session. Focus on tasks, methodical approach, conscientiousness. And focus on relationships and methodical, it's that nice steadiness feel. So based on this right here, what you see on the screen, without us going into each one of these, who would say they're more dominant in their approach? You raise your hands. Hi. Be present. All right. Okay. We got okay. What about conscientiousness? Well, that's a fair point. Okay. All right. What about influence? Another slide there. And then what about steadiness? Relationships, methodical. Okay. We'll dive into these a little bit more. So, if you're dominant now, wants immediate results, action-orientated, makes quick decisions, hit it and quit it. Likes to solve problems, desire power and authority. Remember, those are two different words, by the way, in their definitions. Very direct. You influence, you like group discussion, you love entertaining, you're the circle of attention, generates enthusiasm, desires to impact others. Again, loves that center. You are the man. Steadiness, consistent, predictable, stable, good listeners, patience, tree huggers. They like harmony and all. Conscientiousness, focuses on details, checks for accuracy, analytical, systematic approach to work. A goes to B, B goes to C. Weighs pluses and minuses, accuracy and standards. So who are the conscientiousness in the room? Raise your hand. How many of you are engineers or in a technical field? Majority of you guys. What about business guys? Business guys, let's say influence. Of the influential ones, how many of you are in business or in communications or something where you're gonna talk a lot? Most of you guys. So you're kind of seeing a theme here a little bit. So, okay, seeing what we just said, let's apply it a little bit. Think about the DISC method.
What did you
Great example. Where did you see the disc method in that clip? What were its different pieces? Where did you see a dominance approach? Someone. Stand up, introduce yourself.
So, me from if you're calling me,
Okay?
you definitely have like a action result like right now.
Who? Tell me who. The clown, and who is also a pike, by the way. Many people don't know that, but he is a pike.
So it wanted results like when he got out of that car and he wasn't gonna like bullshit around it.
Okay, so he came out of the car, he said, this is how it is, he took control. Quick action. All right, where was their influence? Do we see influence there? Motivational, entertaining, enthusiasm. This one wasn't so evident. This one was like a cause and effect. Cam, who was the clown, influence, was a clown. He likes entertaining people. He loves, and if you ever watch the show, he is the center of attention when they focus on him. So him dressed up like a clown, he made his impact. In fact, when he stepped out, he was influencing. So right or wrong, especially when he pulled out the clock and said, "Oh, time to go." That was that influential approach. What about steadiness? Consistent, predictable, good listener, patient, harmony in the environment. Where do we see that? Over here. Someone over here. Yes, sir.
The guy who drives a Prius, probably environmental friendly.
Okay. Okay, that's a good poll. All right, I've never heard that. All right, good. What else? Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's enough theme. I would say the guy who was filling up the gas also didn't really want to get into conflict with the tough guy, I guess.
Okay, all right. So yeah, the gentleman driving the Prius, okay, he was very predictable. Hey, by the way, this happened. Can we talk about it? Can we come to resolution? Everybody's happy. Again, wanted to make sure Stephen Keel, he didn't raise his voice, did he? No, he really didn't, until the end when he said ass. So, and what about conscientious? Focus on the details, checks for accuracy, systematic approach. Yes, sir.
Margaret, Kappa Omega, Wisconsin Whitewater.
Such a great school. Okay.
I thought the guy goes to take gas. He remembered how he got hit. He never got bumped, but he felt pretty solid.
Okay. All right, very good. So cause and effect again. All right. So does everybody kind of get it? All right, good. So let's, so I'll put in another approach. We all got in elevators this weekend, right? Okay, so if you were high in dominance, you got in the elevator and pushed the door button closed right away, especially since the thing was crowding up, especially here at the Peabody. If you were high in influence, you step in the elevator, it says, come on, there's room for everybody, which definitely there are people doing. If you're high in steadiness, you let everybody in and you wait for the next elevator, that nice guy approach. And you're high in conscientious, you step in, look at the weight parameters of the elevator, and look at the people around you. Obviously, we heard a lot of buzzing going on during these elevators. So that's how we kind of fit it in there. So now let's talk about the speeding ticket. How many of you had a speeding ticket? Okay, all right. So if you're high in dominance, you step out of the car and argue with the officer. And as we all know, things don't go really well when you do that, correct? Okay. So when you're high in influence, you put on your best charm, the officer leaves, and you think you just made a friend for life. If you're high in steadiness, you thank the officer for the ticket. You point out that they were not wearing their seatbelt just as well. Probably not a good thing either. And when you're high in conscientiousness, you politely pull out the rules of the road defense and start preparing your legal defense. So, everybody has a pen, everybody has a paper, right? Now write down the top of the piece of paper, what's your style of the disc method? Dominance, influence, steadiness, conscientiousness. So now I want you to think about a situation that's been nagging lately. So you have a current conflict in your life, either being fraternal, in your studies, in your relationship with your family, your partner, whoever it might be. How did that go? Write 3 words on how that conflict, you either just had it, or how is it going, I should say. 3 words. Good, bad, ugly. Sharing. Listening. And then on the screen, there's 5 other thought-provoking questions. How would your differences in style impact how you react, or interact, I should say? Can you switch the other person's style, or can you switch your own? Based on the 4 models or the DISC method. How do you most effectively communicate? If you're high in dominance, what's your primary mode of communication? Do you prefer technology? Do you prefer face-to-face? And then how can you utilize the strengths of that person or you in the situation you're dealing with? These are all tough answers. And really, in the end of the day, everything's situational. It really is. If you ever look at Blanchard's 1-minute manager and the situational leadership model, it truly is situational, based on criticality. So, this is one of the most critical things you could learn in conflict resolution, is listening. I'm already half deaf, so I have a disadvantage as it is, and I would like to say that's an excuse, but it's not. And so I also sometimes have a hard time listening. When I know what the answer is, I just don't want to deal with it. Or in times of crisis or action, last week I almost grounded 700 metros around the world. I knew what the action plan was, but in the end of the day, I had to listen to my team members on all the issues and do I push the button or not. And so a lot of what I like to think to myself is where do I put my butt? And do I put my butt anywhere? Not only physically, but also in my sentences verbally, and non-verbally for that matter. So, there are 5 different ways of listening: appreciative, empathetic, comprehensive, discerning, or evaluative listening. I use Dumbo because that was one of the bigger things in the Disney movie. Plus, big ears. I wish I had big ears. I don't have big ears. But if you listen, and you listen for the right words, it often will tell you how to solve a problem. Because a lot of times when we're discussing and we're having issues, Sim here and I are going back and forth, and he's going at it and I'm going at it, I'm not really listening to his words. So I don't know what he is really saying until I shut up. And then I'm really focused on listening. It's no different than in leadership. If you don't understand those you are leading, you'll never understand them. So let's take an example here.
It's a beautiful day. Don't you feel awesome?
Yeah, I guess so.
Any thoughts of suicide today? Hello? Oh, hi, Sally. What? You are having a party? Yes, I would love to come. When? Saturday night? Yes, I will be there. I'll have to call you back. I am the consumer. Sorry, Paul. You were saying?
Well, I have been feeling like cutting myself.
So, no suicide thoughts then? Well, that's good. Suicide is the coward's way out, you know. At least in my opinion.
Oh, okay.
I'm glad we had this little chat.
Yeah, me too.
So obviously, what was the takeaway here? Several takeaways in that quick animated clip. Ryan, what'd you think?
She wasn't focused on the person in front of her. She was more worried about her own conversation.
Okay.
And attend to their needs.
All right. Didn't attend to the other person's needs. What else? Nonverbals weren't there. She was a psychologist with her friend or with a consumer not a patient and or a colleague or a friend or anything. It's a consumer. So right there, saw the person not as a person, but as a simple product or money. Answer the phone during the conversation. And you guys would probably agree with me, suicide's kind of a big deal. So you probably want to stay engaged in those conversations. And at the end of the day, just discounted it. And so what happened? He walked away. His feelings were still the same feelings. Nothing was solved. So again, listening. So let's try this one. This one's a little long, but take an example of it. That's the only glitch here, so I gotta... Uh-oh.
I know where Ellen is. I can't talk to you. You don't like me? I don't.
I like you.
Jake's fourth grade class was given a similar sign. Draw something interesting to see around the house. One child drew a record player, another drew a parrot. What sound drew this? A voice behind with a butterfly tattoo.
Rich cat. Oh, that's surprised.
I asked him where he saw this. He said in Uncle Charlie's kitchen.
Wait, you gotta admit, it's a hell of a parrot.
Maybe another glitch. I missed that one.
Hello? I'm looking for your mother. Charlie's in a meeting right now. But you can talk to me. Heck, I feel like we're practically related. You still the girl in the picture?
Rose? No, she doesn't have a tattoo on her butt. Yes,
my parents so they could take me to school. They took me and I had this terrible argument with my father. He thinks it's my fault that Al and I are breaking up, and he knows exactly how much that hurts. The question is, why do I need his approval? Why do I need approval from any man? I understand. Charlie, how can you possibly understand? I'm sorry, I didn't realize you had nothing. No, we were just hanging out. I'm Cindy. Hi, you're there. Good. You know, I spent the better part of my life trying to win my father's approval. Oh, you too, huh? Yeah, I was married a guy just my father like him. I married a guy just like my father. That's right. It's his brother. Oh, I know him. He's pretty kind of round. Do you want some wine? I want a lot of wine.
I do not understand.
So what were some takeaways from this video? Oh wait, this is, all right, never mind. All right, some observations or thought. It was about a 5-minute clip, I know, but there was a lot of good takeaway out of it. So thoughts or ideas? What do you got? What'd you come up with? Stand up, introduce yourself.
Charlie was just defusing the situation, just letting her vent out everything, and just kind of just going with it.
Okay, so just going with it, hoping it would go away. What else? What else? Jeff, what did you think? What was one good takeaway from you, from your perspective? I understand. What do you got? What do you think? Stand up.
Drew Presto, EE chapter, Toledo, Ohio. I think he just tried to disengage. That way he didn't have to have any conflict at all.
Okay, so there was some disengagement in there. What about Jeremy? What do you think?
Jeremy Smallwood, we got the chapter run university. Well, like you said, it's just trying to pass along the situation or the conversation so he
Okay.
doesn't have to waste his time. He just didn't see the need to listen.
Did you see, though, there was a point where he was listening? So there was a level of engagement where he actually was listening. What was his problem?
He didn't want to solve it.
He did not want to solve it, nor did he have the ability to solve it. He didn't really understand. So it just kept coming, and she kept coming over. And then what happened?
Someone stepped in to solve the problem.
Someone stepped in to solve the problem. Correct. The other lady came in. At the end of the day, he lost his glass of wine. He probably lost a little bit of nookie later that day, a little something, and then as a result, he got nothing. And guess what? The situation really didn't go away. The conflict never got resolved. So his brother was going to end up dealing with it on the back end of it. So then what really would happen in the last scene? What happened with Jake? They're in the movie theater, looking at tatas. It rubbed off on him. The I understand rubbed off. So it's critical that we understand that we are in the limelight as leaders. And how we solve situations, people are watching. And they will either take and mimic us, our brothers in our chapter right now, or they will go completely opposite and do their own thing and learn. It just depends. But again, it's all situational. There was a point where, she called on the phone, he was listening, he repeated everything that was going on, but he did not know what to do. So instead of trying to figure out a way to know what to do, he just kind of kept deflecting. So in listening, the 4 styles were evident. Appreciative listening, this is just going back to what these are now. We've talked about it, and we've seen it in that video clip. Listening to enjoy the experience, motivated, focused to relax while listening. Empathetic, listening to support the person speaking, motivated to desire to impact the person, providing them the opportunity to share their feelings, Charlie was actually doing that, allowing her just expound everything that was on her mind. Appropriate when counseling a friend, letting off steam, as I said. But this also could be very bad, as you saw and it turned out. Comprehensive, listening to organize the information, motivated by a chance to apply what's going on. Again, more of a systems thinking approach. Make sense of the information, picking out ideas, supporting, and sharing back and forth during that conflict and or discussion. So leveraging each other's thoughts and ideas. It makes it very collaborative. And that's the key. Collaboration is the key. Evaluative, listening to fix and make action. Typically more with dominance sometimes, where there's a situation in hand at the chapter house, you got to take care of it. You're evaluating, or you're quickly assessing your A's and your B's and your C's to go with the decision. Draw conclusions, moving towards fixing something. So quickly, discerning, old 70s detective show, Columbo. His biggest line at the end was, I always got one more question. Trying to get what's called root cause to the end. Root cause analysis for some of you guys that are engineers, lean manufacturing tenets. So, communication patterns that create conflict and limit it. Criticism. I mean, John McIntyre was a great tennis player, but he did not know how to handle criticism, let alone conflict on the tennis courts. Criticism, pacification. How many of you guys have pacified people over and over and over and hoping that it would go away? Yeah, I gotcha. Or we have that one guy in our chapter, right, that sits in the back of the room and he always complains, but he's never really giving anything, so you almost become a passive person to him. You just kind of say, yeah, it's okay. In the mind, you're thinking you're a turd and I can't polish a turd. That's what you're thinking. Not a good way to deal with the conflict pattern. Rationalization, withdraw. Really, guys, in the end, I looked at every single one of you in the eye. Eye-to-eye contact is key. Get off the emails and the text messages and go solve it. Take it by the horn and solve the issue at hand. Civil conversations go a lot further. And I will tell you, sometimes I blow my top, and I am the first to admit it. But I try to be civil about it and understand it. Yes, sir.
Joe, you're overchecking me out for Rowan University. How should a chapter handle a problem like that you just said?
Which one?
A kid in the back of the room
Right.
just kind of bickers, but doesn't really offer any solutions.
Okay. Well, and that's a very complex problem because I don't know the situation, and every person is different. But at the end of the day, you as a leader have to sit down, let's say Sean, and say, Sean, we have a problem. You know, a lot of the members are noticing that you're not engaged, you're in the back. When you do show up for chapter, you tend to be more negative and positive and not offering solutions. Sean, do you really want to be here? Do you really align to Pi K's ritual, mission, vision, purpose? Because if you don't, it's okay. Save your the $300 a semester or whatever it might be. No one's not going to think ill of you. But if you don't want to be here, it's okay. 10 to 1, those conversations never happen. And so we just avoid it. We just let it be an irritant in the back of the room because we just don't want to do it. And 9 times out of 10, those conversations will yield a better person in the end of the day that's much more engaged. And a lot of times it's because they have no ownership in something. So you're really listening, understanding what the problem is, and typically it's ownership, that they feel disconnected because they're not doing anything and no one's really asked them to do something. Or 2, they've kind of checked out. But they don't want to be the guy to raise their hand and say, I checked out. And when you take it on heads on, you're going to get one of those 2 results. It might be a little stressful and tenuous, but at least you're doing it the right way. And as a leader, you're taking care of a situation if there is one. So, a lot of words up here in the end of the day. While we can't always have control over someone else who's being irrational, you can have control over your own emotions. You can look like the guy who saved the day, or you can look like the biggest jerk in the world. It all depends because you control your emotions. You can control to choose what you want to control. Emotions are 99% of it. So, 3 levels of communication with conflict. Share what you want. I think, I feel. your perspective in communicating with others. You're not saying what's fair yet, but you're at least expressing your opinion. Determine fairness. Look past your own perspective and try to understand the perspective of the other person. And this is where listening comes in. You're drawing in on nonverbals as well as verbals, choosing and picking up the words that they're using. Because in the conversation we were just talking about with that person in the back of the room, that's really where you're going to pick up what the message is. Are they connected or are they disconnected? And based by their nonverbals, it'll tell you more than the verbals will. And then 3, act with integrity. Do what's right. Do what's morally, ethically, and aligned to your character. Your mission, vision, and purpose. What's your mission and purpose in life? Align it to it. Align it to, if it's a chapter issue, great risk management session. She said, how does it align to the fraternity? How does it align to the chapter? What's the cause and effect approach to it? Because you're all there. You all have been through the ritual. You understand what that ritual is. We're all aligned to the same ritual. Compromise. Biggest piece to it all. So, top 10 mistakes. Defensive, pacifying. We talked about that. Pacifying is not the right way to do it. Lack of pacing. You'll get to an end. You'll get to a solution. But if you jump to it right away without listening to the other person's feelings, guess what? You're not going to have an end result that's amenable to both parties. Verbal and nonverbals. We talked about that. Use the right listening style. Reflecting back. Not utilizing the 100 plus 1% rule. And then putting your butt in the wrong place. So, really summarizing, there's 2 slides left, this one, another one. Consider the positives and negatives. Sometimes you're not going to have a good result, but it's probably the best result. But if you do it in a fair and reasonable way, you know what, you got a 50% solution. That's pretty good. Consider the different approach based on style. The house burning down is one way of dealing with conflict versus, oh, dude, you just hit on my girlfriend. We need to talk about this. Different style, different environment. Avoid communication patterns that create conflict. People that raise their voices or are in your face. There are those people that talk very closely. Think about your verbals and your nonverbals at the same time. Choose assertive behavior. Take it on. Don't be afraid of it. Because if you don't, it's just going to be an irritant and it'll never be solved. So embrace conflict, deal with conflict, and learn from conflict. And when you mentor other people in the chapter, mentor them in those situations where you had conflict, so when they get to that situation, they know how to handle it. Leave your legacy with that individual. So, embrace conflict. Wonderful picture, Martin Luther King. We're in Memphis. No reason to run, no reason to hide. Make a decision, prepare, deal, and learn from it. Truly what it is. Man must evolve for all human conflict, a method which rejects revenge, aggression, and retaliation. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Colin Fitzpatrick, Epsilon, Toledo, Ohio. Now, how would you deal with being someone being a facilitator between a conflict between members in the chapter? Because I'm going to be our house manager this
Okay.
year for our on-campus house. So how would you go about, what would be advice for handling and trying to fix two people's conflict if
Well,
they're not solving it on their own?
First thing is are they open to the idea of having a facilitator? That's the number one thing. You can't stick yourself in as a facilitator because they might reject you altogether, and then your credibility goes down. So you got to have that agreement that is your role, and everybody knows that's your role as a facilitator in a conflict. 2, understand both sides, and the biggest thing as a facilitator is you never cast judgment. You never enact judgment, you don't speak judgment, you don't use nonverbals that would align to one side or the other. You are just a conduit of communication back and forth. And it's really hard. It really is. It's absolutely hard. But that's the key. And if the house manager is that role as a facilitator for conflict, then so be it. Sergeant at Arms tends to be that, or a member at large. You're there just to allow them to come together so they don't come to fisticuffs in the end of the day. Does that kind of answer your question a little bit? Okay. What other questions about conflict? Situations. Doesn't need to be fraternal either. No? All right. Well, We are 5 minutes early, which is always a good thing. I appreciate you guys, your interactiveness and your attentiveness. I love being here, and thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the evening.